From new adventures to remastered classics and a rather surprising shadow drop, 2023 has been a pretty good year for Xbox, and since we've officially crossed into the second half of the year, we're gonna rank the best games released over the past 6 months. Ahoy folks, it's Craig signing in for Pure Xbox, and here's our top 10 Xbox games of 2023 so far. Kicking this list off is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which continues the story of Cal Kestis and his struggle to survive the might of the Galactic Empire. Set 5 years after the events of Jedi Fallen Order, Cal is no longer a Padawan, but instead a powerful Jedi Knight. With a strong base foundation, the refined traversal and combat system in Jedi Survivor smooths out some rough edges whilst enhancing everything we love from its predecessor, which includes the introduction of 5 new lightsaber stances, each with their own unique features. The storytelling is once again gripping and beautiful, making Jedi Survivor a premier Star Wars adventure. Monster Hunter had big boots to fill following 2018's Monster Hunter World, which is Capcom's most successful release to date. But it turns out the 6th mainline installment into the series was definitely up for the hunt. Rise made its Xbox debut when it launched on Game Pass in January, and whilst it followed all of the well-established conventions found in its predecessor, it also introduced new features, mechanics, and a new Malamute companion for the dog people of the world. This time around, the player joins the Hunters Guild in Kamura Village, and must work with the villagers, led by Master Fugan, to fortify your stronghold from the Rampage in a pretty neat new tower defense mode. The 4K visuals and higher frame rate options make Xbox one of the best places to experience Monster Hunter Rise. The wizarding world of Harry Potter made its way to consoles in the form of Hogwarts Legacy. The magic open-world effort from Avalanche Studio breathed life into the highly interactive and immersive Hogwarts Castle, where players take on the role of a 5th-year student, learn to cast spells, brew potions, master an impressive combat system, and grow relationships with schoolmates who may accompany you on your journey. Of course, you'll be able to join one of the 4 Hogwarts houses, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin, visit famous locations like Hogsmeade and Gringotts, solve puzzles, and test your wizarding prowess against a range of old and new foes. It's clear there were a lot of feelings towards Hogwarts Legacy, but for those who are excited to engage in the most authentic Harry Potter experience on console, Avalanche Studios truly delivered the ultimate adventure for Potterheads. Despite showing its age a little, even with a definitive coat of makeup, Age of Empires 2 is and always will be a timeless classic in the history books of video games. In Age of Empires, you're tasked with the evolution of your chosen civilization, covering the Franks, Celts, Vikings, and many more. Players must then work their way up from the Dark Ages to the Imperial Age, with the goal of achieving a dominant empire capable of destroying any who should oppose you. The second installment in the historic RTS series features an addictive gameplay loop that clearly still holds up in 2023, and with Microsoft going the extra mile to add full controller support and the option to plug a mouse and keyboard into your console, the living room gamers of the world can finally get a stab at what they've been missing out on all this time. Speaking of missing out on another all-timer, a 2023 remake of the genre-defining sci-fi horror Dead Space took us right back to the sweat-inducing nightmare fuel roaming the blood-soaked corridors of the USG Ishimura. In an effort to investigate a seemingly abandoned mining ship, and thanks to a docking malfunction, Isaac and the crew of the Kellion crash land aboard the Ishimura. Stranded, the crew quickly realize that they're not alone. Lurking around every corner are deadly necromorphs, waiting to rip any living being they come into contact with to shreds. Built from the ground up in the Frostbite engine, Dead Space stays relatively true to its 2008 source material. However, one noticeable difference is that the then silent protagonist can now speak. Isaac Clarke returns in his famous suit to hack and destroy the bodies of necromorphs using all the weapons found in the original game. January was quite an unexpectedly exciting month for Xbox Game Pass, made especially true during the Xbox Developer Direct, which saw Tango Gameworks, a studio best known as masters of the Goosebump and Chill, stealth drop a bona fide banger in the form of Hi-Fi Rush. It's fair to say that the cel-shaded rhythm action game whipped Xbox gamers into an excited frenzy because nobody saw it coming, and it was genuinely really good. Hi-Fi Rush introduces Chai, a music-obsessed kid who somehow ends up with an iPod embedded in his chest. Before long, Chai and a cast of extremely lovable companions are mastering the rhythm of the beat to blast through a bunch of robotic baddies as they go about dismantling an evil corporation one boss battle at a time. The soundtrack is bop after bop, the story is silly good fun, and it doesn't outstay its welcome either. Hi-Fi Rush also does a fantastic job offering plenty of visual accessibility features for anybody who struggles to follow the beat. 2023 has seen Xbox secure several entries from Atlus's stunning JRPG series onto Game Pass, with the most notable additions of Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5 Royal. Whilst Persona 5 may be the most recent and flashiest entry in this long-running spin-off series to Shin Megami Tensei, it's Persona 4 Golden that is possibly the best the series has ever been. This time around, players assume the role of Yu Narukami, student and nephew of a hard-boiled detective working a series of brutal murders. Before long, Yu and some of his eager classmates can mysteriously step through their TVs and into a shadowy otherworld to traverse psychological dungeons and battle all manner of twisted bosses. Not to mention, all of this is going on parallel with a demanding student workload and busy social life. Xbox was seemingly swerved by Capcom's previous fighting effort, so the news that Street Fighter VI would make its way to Xbox Series consoles this year was music to many fighting fans' ears. Street Fighter VI is vibrant and colorful, packed full of 3 huge modes and fresh RPG elements. World Tour is a surprisingly deep and thoughtful addition, providing plenty of unique and fun ways to learn the ropes of Street Fighter VI's brand new modern control scheme. Arcade mode offers up a sturdy initial roster of 18 new and returning fighters, and the Battle Hub is a great place to hang out whilst getting stuck into multiplayer matches. The combat feels fresh, fluid, and responsive, whilst adding all new drive impact moves that burst with bright, colorful paint splatters. Once you get to grips with this new way of fighting, Street Fighter VI is really hard to put down. It's easy to see why Blizzard took well over 6 years to conjure up its next mainline adventure, and whilst the wait for a final product felt long and cumbersome, when Diablo 4 eventually launched as a day one release on Xbox Game Pass in June, the bleak and blood-soaked RPG adventure became an instant must-play for Xbox gamers. Decades have passed since the events of Diablo 3, following the return of Lilith, Mother of Sanctuary, and the Daughter of the Lord of Hatred. This time around, players will set off on a quest to stop Lilith and all of her evil minions in a thrilling main campaign lasting roughly 24 hours. Demon slaying hasn't ever felt as good as it does in Diablo 4, and that's reinforced by 5 unique character classes with an almost limitless choice of build options through its vast amount of abilities and equipment to unlock. It's clear to see Diablo 4 is the natural evolution in the series through its new open world, live service design, and expansive endgame content, which should keep even the most diehard fans busy for a very, very long time. Some described Capcom's decision to remake Resident Evil 4 as an odd choice when Code Veronica and Dino Crisis were on the table, and that's especially true as many consider the original 2005 release on Nintendo GameCube to be as close to perfect as a game can come. Resident Evil is a survival horror which follows the story of a fresh-faced police rookie hardened by the devastating events of Resident Evil 2. Fast forward a few years and the now US Special Agent Leon S. Kennedy has been assigned to rescue the president's kidnapped daughter. Whilst the overall narrative stays relatively true to its roots, it doesn't take long to notice yourself in new territory. The revamping of the core combat, reshuffling of certain aspects of the narrative, zhuzhing up boss encounters, and a lot of meaningful expansions to the level design deliver a fresh yet familiar experience. The story is thoroughly gripping, every character is memorable, and the modern inventory, companion, and combat systems cater to both new and returning players. There's no denying that resident best boy Leon Kennedy's refreshed romp through the infamous rural Spanish town was absolutely justified, and so far the 2023 Resident Evil 4 remake is the only title Pure Xbox has dished a 10 out of 10 to. So those are the best Xbox games of 2023 so far. We'd love to hear your definitive versions of your top 10 games on Xbox this year, so make sure to leave us a comment. I promise I will look at each and every one. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to visit purexbox.com for the latest Xbox news, reviews, and gaming bits and bobs, and hit the subscribe button to stick with us here. All that's left to do is say bye-bye for now. Cheerio!